Hello and welcome. Today I am installing a secure strike plate on the deadbolt of our door. Now the reason I'm doing this is because the place that we're renting, the people who work on things and fix things up have proven themselves to be utterly incompetent, demonstrated by the fact that they didn't include a strike plate on the deadbolt, and then the strike plate on the bottom lock is absolutely awful. So I figured it's $4, it's really easy. Just slap it on myself real quick. It'll go on there right like that. And the reason why this is important is if you don't have a strike plate with long screws, if your deadbolt is locked, it's locked into this door jamb right here. And the door jamb, this piece of wood, is actually probably only about that thick. And it's that close to the edge. So if someone just slams against it, they can just splinter out this whole piece of wood and break your door open. Whereas if you have a strike plate with long screws, these long screws will screw through this thin door jamb and into the thick 2x4 piece of wood behind it, so that when you slam against it, this piece of wood can't just splinter and break. And if you do that, your door is secure. Right now, this door, not so much. So what we need is a strike plate. This was about $4 at a local hardware place. You need a hammer and a chisel that's not any wider than the strike plate that you're installing. You also need a screwdriver of some kind. It's helpful if you have an electric drill to have a screwdriver, Phillips bit and a screwdriver, and a drill bit. But you can probably do this by hand with a hand screwdriver, so that you really just need 3 tools: hammer, chisel, screwdriver. But it is helpful to pre-drill them. So I'm just going to place this over the hole that's already drilled on there. And I'm going to mark where I want it. I'm just going to make sure that this part right here is level. I don't want to get it crooked or anything like that. So once I have that, I'll just mark the edges here. Now, because I marked the edges with the plate on here, these pencil markings are going to be a little bit larger than the actual plate. So I'm going to keep my chisel inside of that. Now, the flat side of the chisel, because there's a flat side and a rounded side, the flat side of the chisel is going to be toward the outside of the hole that I'm going to cut. And I'm always going to cut the top and the bottom first. So I'm going to start right there. Give it a couple solid hits. Do the same thing on the bottom. Now for rounded corners, you can just take the edge and go like this. Make several small cuts. As long as it's a little bit smaller than the plate will actually smash down the edges and fit pretty solidly. The plate I have is basically square, so it's going to be easy. Alright, once that's done, without a hammer, you can just take a little bit out here. Again, not using a hammer, just kind of carefully going. Now you might not get the full depth all in one go, and that's the case here. Actually, usually you won't. So it's smart to kind of give it a few blows and then cut it out like this until you get all the way down. Now that you have the top and bottom cut out, you can cut the sides. And the reason you want to cut the sides second is because if you cut them first, you can split it down here. But if you cut them second, this cut will stop the wood from splitting. I'm going to use a slightly wider chisel because I have one, but you can totally do this with the same chisel. The sides generally require a little less force. So that's another reason why you want to be careful. The process, however, is the same. Now I like to get the edges a little bit deeper than I need to, and then I'll leave the center part high because it's easy to take a little bit off of the center if I cut it too deep. Okay, now that all the edges are cut out, I'm gonna cut down this center part, but I'm gonna cut it out just a little bit at a time to make sure I get the depth right. That looks pretty good. I like where it's going. Just gonna mark the screw holes. There we go. To select the right drill size, hold up the drill bit in front of the screw. You should be able to see the threads around the drill bit, but you shouldn't be able to see much of the actual shaft of the drill bit. Right like that. So it's all in place. I'm gonna pre-drilled, seems to be fitting pretty well. I'm gonna go ahead and screw it in. Now I'm gonna put the longer screws on the inside here. This kit only came with 2 long screws, which should probably be fine. I'm gonna put them here and here because they'll get most of the 2x4 behind here. Where on the edge right here, they're probably not really gonna hit the 2x4. So that's it. It looks clean and nice, tight fitting joint, and long screws so that you can't kick the door open anymore. So that's when. It's pretty easy, pretty fast. Just took me maybe 15 minutes to do the job right, and it's great. One of the things that I love about DIY is that you can make sure that a job gets done right. If you compare the look of this to this bottom one that was done by the handymen who work on our apartments, you can see the difference in quality. So if you want something done right, it's pretty easy, pretty cheap, right there. So it's done right, it's easy, and it's cheap. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope you found that useful. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.